Okay, so in the last videos, we talked about ecosystems and how organisms interact within ecosystems. We also talked about how food webs are formed and what the difference is between food chains and food webs. So in this video, we're going to talk about what happens to that energy as it goes through the system and how much energy is lost and saved throughout that system. So let's start by talking about an ecological pyramid. So this is a diagram that shows the relative amount of energy or matter contained within each trophic level. And if you remember in class, a trophic level is basically measured in each of these levels. So we have producers, and then we have primary consumers and secondary consumers, um, and then tertiary consumers, and it can go up from there. So um, in this ecological pyramid, we see that there's different energy in each part of the pyramid, and we'll talk more about that. So one type of energy pyramid is going to show a transfer of energy through um, producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and you can see the differences in energy by just how large the rectangles are in this energy pyramid. So we have 100% of energy down here at the producers, and then we actually lose about 90% of energy through each trophic level. So here we have 100%, and then here we might have 10% and then 1%, 0.1%, and so on. So it takes a lot of energy to maintain these organisms up here at the top level. So this illustrates how available energy is distributed among the trophic levels in an ecosystem. And so let's talk about this loss of energy because it can be lost in different forms. So we know if we've taken physics that energy can't technically be lost. It has to go somewhere. But in this system, when we talk about lost energy, we're saying it's leaving this system. So it can leave that system either from those organisms utilizing that energy just to maintain homeostasis, just to maintain life within themselves. It can also be lost in their waste products, excreted as heat from that organism. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about energy loss within a energy cycle or energy pyramid. So energy is going to come from the sunlight, and then we use and then producers produce usable energy, and we use that energy for movement, digestion, growth, response to environment, all of the things that make us a living thing. So when we look at how energy becomes available or is lost, we have to also define biomass. So biomass is going to be the measure of the total dry mass of organisms in a given area. So when a consumer eats a producer, a great amount of energy is lost as heat and waste. And as we said before, the loss of energy between trophic levels can be as great as 90%. So usually only 10% of that energy is transferred up to that next level. And so this pyramid kind of shows that the different trophic levels, and then we'll talk about the different energy that cycles through those trophic levels. So as we said, we have producers here at the bottom, or autotrophs. Remember, auto is self, so these are making energy producers. And then we have primary consumers, which are herbivores. They're going to eat the producers. Secondary consumers, these are going to be smaller carnivores that eat consumers that eat producers. And then tertiary consumers, these are getting to our top carnivores that eat other carnivores. And these are going to be higher on the pyramid. So if you look at the pyramid, you can see that a lot of energy is lost from producers up here to tertiary consumers. This pyramid does a good job of showing the energy that is lost through the ecosystem. So we have 100% of producers, 100% of the energy is here in the producers, and then only 10% in primary consumers, only 1% in secondary consumers, and it gets worse from there. So as you can see, it takes an incredible amount of energy to really support these our apex predators like lions or um, hawks. All of these things are take a lot of energy to sustain. So which ones do you think we have more of? So obviously we're going to have many more organisms of producers than we are tertiary consumers because it takes so much energy to support these tertiary consumers. So in an ecosystem, we're not going to have a lot of tertiary consumers. So this diagram kind of shows that. So a pyramid of numbers is going to show the number of individual organisms at each trophic level in an ecosystem. And it's effective in showing the vast number of producers. So here we have 5 million producers to every 5 tertiary consumers required to support even just a few top-level consumers. So here we have a biomass pyramid, and this is going to compare the biomass of different trophic levels within an ecosystem. So it provides a picture of the mass of producers needed to support primary consumers, the mass of primary consumers to support secondary consumers, and so on. Okay, so that is all I wanted to talk to you about in this video. So remember, you can rewind at any time, and I hope you have a great day.